Hi everybody, welcome to the kitchen. Today we're going to make Hoppin John. This is a southern dish, usually served around New Year's for good luck. And it has, we're going to use black-eyed peas, rice, some Tabasco, and originally we were going to use a ham hock. Now, I wanted to make this more of a vegetarian dish and dispense with the ham hock. So if you recall, when we made our collard greens, we used hickory liquid smoke. And this is the agent that makes bacon sort of like taste like bacon. So if I'm gonna dispense with the ham hock, all I need to do is add a half teaspoon of this, and that will add that sort of bacon ham type of flavor into our dish. So that is a really good substitute, and that's what I'm gonna do. Now, I don't have a hot pepper, so instead I'm gonna use a half teaspoon of the red pepper flakes. And we need 1 cup of our black-eyed peas, 5 to 6 cups of water, 1 onion, a cup of our long grain rice, and since I just made the rice pudding with the jasmine rice, this is open, so we wanna use it up. And this is a long grain jasmine rice. It has a little sort of fragrance to it. If you are at home and want to use long grain Carolina rice, that's great too. And then some scallions. So let me start getting everything set up, and then we start making our Hoppin John. Okay, so here I have some water, and what we want to do, here are our 1 cup of black-eyed peas. We want to rinse them and get rid of any debris. Okay, so rinse these off. Make sure there's no pebbles, actually. I have found pebbles before in bags of beans. You don't want to have any debris, branches, pebbles, stems, anything like that. So these are all looking pretty good. Now I'm just going to strain them off in our strainer. Okay, and now I'm going to put it into our pot. I've got the 6 cups of water already in here. We're going to put those in, and then we're going to bring it to a rapid boil. So we're going to put it on medium-high heat. And I'm also going to add into it our onions. Here's our onion chopped. And then I'm going to get our wooden spoon out to stir it with. So I want to show you where that is. It's right here. There's our drawer of tools. I'll get out my wooden spoon. I'm going to stir that all together. And then I'm also going to add to it our pepper flakes and our liquid smoke. So let me double check our recipe. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do a half teaspoon of red pepper flakes and a half teaspoon of our hickory liquid smoke. Okay, so the rice is gonna go in later, and the Tabasco will go in later as well. So let's get our measuring spoons. Here we go. And I need 2 hands to open this. I'll be right back. Okay, our red pepper flakes are in. Here is our liquid smoke, hickory liquid smoke, which will give it that flavor of bacon. And we've got to bring these to a boil. So let me stir everything together. Bring it to a boil, and then we have to cook it for an hour and a half. So that's a lot of cooking time. So we'll clean up everything while we're waiting. All right, so once we have this at a rapid boil, as you can see, we're gonna turn it down low, and we're gonna simmer this for an hour and a half. We wanna reduce the liquid that is in here to 2 cups. So we're gonna keep it uncovered, and this is the point where it's gonna cook all the beans. So we do make sure to leave it uncovered and make sure it's simmering for an hour and a half or until the liquid is reduced to about 2 cups. So keep an eye on it. Don't just walk away. Every so often, come over and give it a stir. Okay, so this has cooked for about an hour and a half. And you see how much the liquid has disappeared? All right, so that has reduced. Now the beans should be nice and cooked, but it has reduced so much though that I'm gonna have to add more water. So we need 2 cups of water, definitely in water. You need to cook the rice. Rice needs double the amount of water to rice. So we have 1 cup of water, which means we need double. We need 2 cups. I'm sorry, let me say that again. We have 1 cup of rice. Here we go. So therefore we need 2 cups of water. Now, it looks like there is some water in here, but truly not enough to cook all that rice. So I'm going to add another 2 cups and our rice. All right, we're gonna bring that back up to a boil, and we're gonna simmer it. After it comes to a boil, we're gonna simmer it for 20 minutes, and we need a cover. Now, I don't actually have a cover for this pan, so what can I use? Well, look, this frying pan fits right in there and makes a cover. So that is what we will use. I'm gonna stir in all of the rice. We're gonna bring it to a boil. I'm gonna add the Tabasco sauce, and once it boils, we're gonna turn it down to a simmer, and we will let it simmer for 20 minutes. At the 20-minute mark, we're gonna turn off the heat and let it sit for another 10 minutes, and then we can fluff it up. So we need to add 1 teaspoon of our Tabasco sauce. All right, so here's 1 teaspoon. In goes our Tabasco. And you can always add more at the end if you like. And of course, if you don't have Tabasco, you can also use Texas Pete hot sauce. So you can substitute that instead if you don't have the Tabasco. You just want some sort of hot sauce in there. And you can see we've got those red pepper flakes. This is gonna be a little spicy. It'll have a little bit of a kick. Just stir that up, and we're looking for a rapid boil. And once it does, I'm gonna cover it with the frying pan. Keep it covered, simmer it for 20 minutes, turn off the heat and let it sit for another 10, and then we can fluff up the rice. Here we have our beautiful scallions, and while I have the rice simmering for the 20 minutes, now I can get our garnish ready, which is our scallions. This is a bunch of scallions. I'm gonna remove the tops, and then we'll chop these up, and we can sprinkle it on top of our Hoppin John. So I'm using the large chef knife to do this because I have the Rolodex here, and you hold them together and then you just slice back and forth, and you're getting these thin slices. So that's what you're looking for, something that thick, and we want to slice it, and we're going to slice into the green. Now I already broke off any green that wasn't, like this bit is a little wilted, so I won't cut up that far, but we're going to cut up to about here. Okay, and use the greens as well. The other parts, the other greens, remember, we're gonna save them in our freezer for our chicken stock or our vegetable stock. All right, this has been sitting now for 10 minutes, and there we go. Beautiful Hoppin John. This looks great. So, what we need to do, there we go. We're gonna fluff this up. See how all that liquid has disappeared? The rice is cooked. Our beans are cooked. This looks awesome. So we're gonna serve it in a bowl, and then I chopped up all those scallions. So we're gonna put a fresh scoop of scallions on top. This is our Hoppin John. Let's get this in the pot. Sorry, in the bowl. All right, there we go. And then we got a nice, here's our scallions all chopped up. We'll just take a huge, scatter them on top. So do a lot. There we go. A nice garnish. And I'm sure that will taste absolutely delicious. I need a fork. I'll be right back. Okay, well there are not often many times when I taste something and I'm like, uh-oh. But I tasted this and it really was blah. So I have been trying to rectify it. That's why so much of it's gone. I keep adding a little bit to get the taste better. So first of all, we need salt. Okay, so I do not have any salt in this recipe as of right now. I often don't like salt in things because I want to keep a low salt diet, but this really is suffering. So we are going to need to add 1 teaspoon of salt. I prefer kosher salt, but if you don't have it, table salt is fine. The other thing is that it seriously lacked any sort of flavor other than heat. Heat because of the Tabasco and the red pepper flakes. So I have experimented with adding some more of the liquid smoke. The heat in here is fine, so we don't had to adjust that. But I could barely taste the liquid smoke. It didn't give any sort of smoky taste to it at all. So this needs to be increased to 1 teaspoon, okay? This is pretty potent stuff, so that's why it's only increased to 1 teaspoon. Now, if you make this and you find it's not smoky enough, you could even increase it to 1.5 teaspoons of smoke, okay? And then the other thing is that, you know, Hoppin John is supposed to have the collard greens. I guess this version of the recipe I created, I wasn't really thinking about the collard greens being in it. I was thinking about the collard greens being a separate dish, since I am making collard greens, and that'll be another demonstration. But if I make this again, I'm definitely gonna add collard greens. So I'm probably gonna add a 1/2 pound of collard greens to this. Another thing is that it has, because I didn't saute the onions, instead I just cooked the onions in here, it has, now you may not even notice this would just be me, but this is something that I, being a chef with my palate, I can taste the raw onion in here, and it's not to my liking. So should I make this again as well? I'm gonna saute the onions with 1 tablespoon of olive oil and then add it at the end instead of cooking it with the onions all along. So what I would do is cook the peas with the water and the red pepper and the liquid smoke. Then when I add the rice, cook the rice with the Tabasco, and that's when I would add our sauteed onions with 1 tablespoon of olive oil. All right, so obviously I'll need to test this recipe out a bit more before it truly is up to par. But this really doesn't happen that often. Most of the recipes I've fine-tuned so that they are good the way they are, but this one really was very lacking in flavor and had such an off flavor with that raw onion taste for me. So that way, if I make this again, I will have to adjust it, you know, according to my notes, and try it with the collard greens in it. That doesn't mean it's horrible. I will finish eating this, but it's just not as exciting or as flavorful as I was expecting. And so that's why I want to tweak it and get it absolutely perfect, okay? So again, this was our Hoppin John, and I was trying to make this a vegetarian version, so I took out the ham hock. And so we had the 1 cup of the black-eyed peas, 8 cups of water, a 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. I'm upping this to 1 teaspoon of hickory liquid smoke. We would use 1 medium onion chopped. I would saute it with 1 tablespoon of olive oil, our 1 cup of long grain white rice, 1 teaspoon of Tabasco, and 1 bunch of scallions at the end as garnish. And that really does add a brightness to it and in its taste as well, so definitely use the scallions. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. It is a fun dish to make, and I hope you will like it, and maybe you'll experiment yourself. Maybe you'll add certain things to it to make it your way. So I encourage you all to experiment with whatever you're cooking. Take care. Bye.